Okay, Anita.
Hi.
Hi, thanks for doing this.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is great. So let's just jump right in.
All right.
I have a few questions I'd like to ask. First question, how long have you been in Atlanta and what brought you here?
I've been here almost 18 years, going on 18 years, and from New York we moved to here. I was working in New York full-time as a scenic artist in movies, and my husband had a business, and we did then 18 years ago have a young child. I was a big guy, and Alan wanted out of that business, so he was kind of looking for new work, and he found it here. And I said, well, it's a right to work state, et cetera, and I can't, and I was a union, I said, I can't start cleaning brushes now again, since like for the next 15 years, so I said that I'll move here if I can just do my artwork. That's the deal, because in New York, we were just basically working to survive, essentially. I was doing my artwork on weekends and raising our son and working on movies, sometimes 70 hours a week. So it was a grind, needless to say, especially the hours, and when I worked in films, I actually was sometimes a camera scenic and things like that, so it was high pressure. It was really, so I moved here anyway. That's why we moved here. And basically I came from my husband. Yeah.
And you've remained.
Absolutely.
This is a two-part question. Did you go to art school? And if you did, do you have any degrees?
Boy, did I go to art school. Okay, I went to art school, music and art high school, art students league as a young woman. Then I went and got my bachelor's in fine arts at Hunter, and it was really a BA then, and we would call it a BFA, which was more rigorous because I had to write a thesis, essentially, and still take a huge amount of art work. And then I went to graduate school there. So, and then as I was, graduating, we got a notice, not that I was planning on teaching, but they said, like, don't even think of teaching because there's no teaching jobs. And I'm an awful waitress. Like, I was the worst waitress on earth. I had tried that. So I was frantic, not knowing how I would survive. And then I found out that you could paint for movies and television. Well, went to school for 3.5 more years on top of that, for a specific school for, scenic art, which is basically like old Russian style theater painting.
Where was that?
That was it doesn't exist anymore, but that was in the Village, in West Village in New York City. Okay. On Greenwich Street.
Did it have a name?
Studio and Forum of Scenic Design or something like that.
And so tell us a little bit how you got your start as a working artist.
Well, which working artist? How I got my start as a scenic artist? No. I'll talk about how I got my start as a working fine artist. And I gave myself this, basically I just decided that's what I want to do, no matter what. So I just would set aside time and work, and people started recognizing my work. As a matter of fact, when we moved here, I also had some luck running into some very unique people in Manhattan and connecting with them. So I had a loft, people on Chambers Street before, a lot of other people, and there were small groups of artists that we all sort of would know what we're doing, and so I did my own artwork and started to show around. of a very interesting transition I've been going through the past, I guess, 4 years, where I essentially take my cell phone camera and photograph images that began with basically just very banal images that we would take for granted, but I would see something incredible, and I realized that I could, with my cell phone camera, capture that image, that split second where everything was kind of lined up the right way, I was in the right place at the right time, with the right light, and the right car passing by, or whatever it was, that created this very unique, moving image for me. So I was able to capture that. And then I had previously been working on the computer manipulating images, but now I was creating my own images, and then I pushed that even further to make them, since I am a painter, I'm not a photographer. I mean, I was essentially photographing without even knowing what I was capturing, but I was able to do it and capture what I wanted. I don't know how I did it, but I would manage to do that. And so I continued with these images, and then I realized that I've been painting on top of photographs, digital images for a long, long time, since 2000, and I decided that they needed to be painted on top of for me to get that quality. So I was doing that for several years, and now I've been actually creating my own landscapes by combining more than one image. I actually will take them at different times, maybe a minute or two apart from different perspectives, and I'll digitally combine them, but I also have to digitally paint them together, and then I paint on top of it. So essentially what I'm doing now are landscapes that don't really exist, but they look very normal. You know, they look like they do exist.
How do you feel, what is it like to be an artist in Atlanta today? And follow up, how can Atlanta improve on that?
Well, it's very good to be an artist in Atlanta in a lot of ways, actually, because it seems like everyone can get a studio space and you don't have to work. I mean, it's still, look, the economy is what it is all over, and it's bad here as well, but you're able to at least work things out where you don't have to work 60 hours a week like I did in New York in order to just, paint once a week or whatever it was. So that's really good. And Atlanta is kind of strange because I don't know, it's very small, and everybody seems to know everybody else, but I think there's something changing. It's going through a transition, and I think it's a good one. Look, we don't have the venues that New York has, or LA, or Chicago, or Houston, but I think it's getting there, and it's nice for me because then I just decided it gave me room to just do whatever I wanted. I wasn't really saying, okay, well, that's a nice thing that everybody's doing and I want to be part of that, which I have to say, New York, that happened to me. So this really got me into totally using everything I have my whole life been involved in, and actually starting to make work that's very individual and yet very much part of this global kind of technology world. So.
And do you have any suggestion on how Atlanta can improve?
Yes. Have a lot more people helping people in a position to help arts, not just a handful of deep pockets, but really, and then artists have to step up to the plate. I mean, it's a two-way marriage, you know. You got to do the really quality work, and then you have to also have people recognize it. So it's kind of like it's starting to form, I think now, I don't know, you know, it used to be that I think a lot of people would go to New York after kind of climbing here and then going off to New York, which is perfectly understandable, but the artists who are here now aren't going, a lot of them aren't going to go to New York. And we have to really, I think, form a stronger community and really be more knowledgeable about what is going on. I mean, you know, not just not know what's happening in Berlin, let's say, things like that. I mean, you have to be more aware.
So how can it improve by helping artists? What do you mean by that? So not just the deep pockets.
Well, I think that this is a place where people have to really be serious about supporting the arts. And I think there's just a handful of people really serious, and I don't think there's enough. And there's certainly, you know, a lot of, we just drive out for 40 minutes and you'll see one $3 million home after the next. So there's money, there's enough money to support expensive stores here, but the arts are not getting anything from, I don't know, I don't see it very much from anywhere except the public art funds and you know, they're just hanging on a thread as well, and I don't think they're really able to really do what they would like to do. So,
okay, great. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate this.
You're welcome.
Hopefully other artists will also find this very informative.
I hope so.
Thank you.